Congress is advancing two bills from Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald that address longstanding gaps in digital privacy and modern policing practices. Both measures, the NDO Fairness Act and the Law Enforcement Innovate to De-Escalate Act, have cleared the House Judiciary Committee and now await action by the full House. The NDO Fairness Act would limit how long the government can bar a company from telling a user that their private data has been accessed by federal agencies. Groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation have documented how extended non-disclosure orders have prevented users from knowing when emails, files, and account data were secretly accessed. Microsoft transparency reporting has also shown a substantial increase in government data requests in recent years. The Law Enforcement Innovate to De-Escalate Act would update federal definitions so that certain less than lethal projectile devices are no longer classified as firearms. This change would also allow police agencies to legally acquire equipment designed to reduce reliance on deadly force. Pilot programs using advanced scenario training systems have reported measurable drops in use of force incidents when departments incorporate these tools. These two bills reflect an effort to modernize federal surveillance rules and expand the options available to police officers managing high-risk interactions. Both pieces of legislation now move to the House floor as part of a broader debate over privacy, police practice, and public safety. Our next guest represents Wisconsin's 5th District, serves on the House Judiciary Committee, and introduced both bills now advancing through the House. Congressman Scott Fitzgerald joins us now. Congressman, thanks for being on.
Hey, great to be with you.
So let's start with the NDO bill. I think that is most in the zeitgeist right now with everything that happened with Arctic frost. Walk us through what it does.
Yeah, we've seen kind of this rampant run of federal prosecutors that continue to use all these tools in a way that certainly Congress never intended, and I think have also put some private sector entities in a very difficult position about disclosing or providing information about their customers that, quite honestly, I think most people, including some different aspects of law enforcement, would find extends way too far into the privacy concerns. So the non-disclosure orders, the NDOs as we refer to them, have become the target of controversy and discussion. And I was very fortunate to be able to work with a number of members to try and develop a strategy on NDOs, which ended up being a very bipartisan bill that was kicked out of Judiciary Committee last week before, I should say. And as a result of that, I think you're starting to see kind of more attention related to the overall issue.
Well, that's great. And it is certainly one piece of a much larger puzzle. So the non-disclosure aspect is one critical one. People have to know when their data is just being shipped over by, frivolous or weaponized subpoenas. But another one is, what do you do even if you do find out that these tech companies are sharing that data? And I'll harken back to a personal experience representing a client whose data was accessed by the January 6th committee. And they did let us know, but the only option available to my client was to take it to federal court on a very short time frame and to pay exorbitant legal fees. There was no fighting that system. So say you do find out, and I know your bill doesn't address this and doesn't intend to address the whole problem, what should happen next?
Yeah, I mean, I think whether you're focused on J6 and that committee or Jack Smith and the outrageous things we're seeing that are being disclosed right now with the Arctic frost investigation, all of this falls into the category of having these non-disclosure orders in place for an indefinite amount of time. And that's really, I think, not only of great concern, but when you have just an unlimited ability for investigators to keep digging and digging and digging and harassing these private sector corporations for this information, it's when you find yourself in real trouble. And oftentimes prosecutors and those doing the quote-unquote investigations looking into aspects of people's personal lives that clearly they should not be able to track, or that they're able to piece together certain, I would say, data points that ultimately end up being a full disclosure of somebody's complete private life. So it's outrageous, I think, at any level that they would have this unchecked investigative ability, and that's clearly what this is focused on. And I think that's why, again, we had bipartisan support.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's a serious bill tackling a serious part of a much larger problem. But I want to ask you about something unserious that your Senate colleagues slipped into the bill to reopen the government. And that, of course, is the provision for only a few senators to avail themselves to penalties that could reach the tens of millions because their information was accessed. Rightfully, the House stripped this language and repealed it, but sent it back to the Senate. What do you make sense of this whole effort and where it stands now?
Yeah, I mean, I chalk that up to kind of a last-minute bad legislative idea that I've seen happen before. You know, people dream something up, they convince themselves in a closed room that it makes sense, that it's justified, and I think that's what happened over in the U.S. Senate, because as far as it was had moved, and ultimately when it was publicly disclosed, it kind of unraveled very quickly. So the House took action, and I think even some of the U.S. senators that were named in that, you know, quickly dispensed of it as being something that they'd also, you know, kind of in the long run don't support. So I think the answer is right before them. It's right before the U.S. Senate, and it's the bill that we passed out of Judiciary. And I told some of the senators just that much. I said, the way to really deal with this is to crack down on the investigative ability to dig in to not only elected officials' backgrounds, but candidates as well. So it's this would cover everybody. And I think that's why this makes a lot more sense, certainly, than what the U.S. Senate tried to do.
Well, Congressman, thanks for coming on and explaining your legislation. Sounds like you got a hot hand with quite a bit moving over there. So we appreciate you.
Very good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.